Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Jessie Talley, your faculty coach, and today I'm coming with the last part of how to start your semester off strong. And today we're going to talk about work life integration. And so I always kind of start off with a question for you guys to keep in the back of your mind so that you can kind of figure out how this resonates with you or what you kind of need to go back and do some work on as we're talking and discussing some insights and strategies on how to actually do this as a new faculty member. So, what I want you to kind of think about as we go through our time together is what does work life integration look like for you as a new tenure track professor? And so, one of the things we want to think about, because normally we hear work life balance, and I like to say, like, it's really hard to get balance in terms of all of the different roles and things that we have in terms of an academic position, but also with your life, because there's always going to be something that's kind of weighing a little bit more heavier than another piece. So I like to say integration. And so when we think about the word integrate, it's basically trying to combine all of these different things to make a whole. And so I like to think of that whole as your life, right? And so what you want to do is make sure that all of those little pieces of your life that you have, so being a professor, maybe being a parent, maybe being a caretaker, or any other type of roles that you may play, that all of those things kind of fit together. And I like to use the example of a puzzle. And so integration is like all of those things combining to make that one puzzle. And in terms of the puzzle completed is your life. And so I think that's more realistic for us because being an academic is so dynamic, right? And so things are always changing. And so if we can find something that just kind of fits like a puzzle piece into our life that can help us kind of move forward, make progress, I think it's better to look at work and life in terms of that particular nugget. So let's get into some insights or some things to think about as we consider how does this look like for me as a new tenure track faculty while you're trying to get all of the things together before the semester starts. So the first thing is to basically plan and prioritize your time, right? So basically, you want to come up with some or find some time management strategies that will allow you to be able to plan out your schedule. So for me, I normally do a weekly meeting with myself. I have various calendars, but of course, the one online, my Google Calendar, kind of keeps me in line. It gives me updates. So even if I write something out tangibly on paper or maybe have another app to kind of map out in more detail what I have to do, I know that I have that whole schedule kind of mapped out somewhere and I've planned out what my time was going to look like for the week. This is going to be significant because if you have something to come up, right, you want to be able to kind of adjust your schedule or know what you have available, or also to figure out how long it's going to take you to do something that might be a little bit longer. And so finding that time, no matter which way you do it, you may not want to do it at the beginning of the week. You may want to kind of look over your things each day, something of that nature. But you have to figure out how that looks for you. What does planning look like for you? How do you determine what your priorities are? Normally, throughout a day, it's good to try to select at least 2 to 3 things that you want to get done. And you can set 2 to 3 main things you want to get done towards the end of the week. And then the question is, how does that align with your tasks throughout the week, align with meeting those goals? And so that will help you get more in line with what you actually really need to be focused on versus not. And so this is crucial to having that balance because you need to know what you're doing. You need to know how long it's going to take. You need to know when it's happening. You need to know all the information to be able to share it with others so that they'll know as well, but also that you're able to kind of figure out what you actually want to take on at a particular time. So then after you actually create this plan, you prioritize your time right, you want to actually try to plan to decrease procrastination. procrastination is easy to do as an academic, especially if you were going through the PhD process before this, you just got finished, right? And so it's easy to just kind of say, oh, I'm not working on my dissertation this day or something like that. But when you become an academic and on tenure track, that time is kind of like eaten up by all the other tasks, whether it's admin, whether it's teaching, whether it's doing research. And so you want to try to not procrastinate on certain things because you have very limited time. And so the reason why I put procrastination versus commitment is because most of the time as academics, we already know what we should be doing and we plan that out, but then it's, are we committed? So what's your commitment level to the plan that you have set forth, right? And so sometimes we do want these great outcomes, but we don't want to stay committed to the plan we know we need to have in place. And yes, that plan can adjust. And yes, sometimes we could be a bit ambitious, but that commitment level is, you know, very important in terms of making that progression. And that's something that I've been working on as well. And like I said, it's very crucial to kind of your success and how far you're going to go and what you're able to do. So if you plan and prioritize and make all of these things, but you don't stay committed to what you have to do, then the plan is not going to work no matter how many times you write it down. So instead of procrastination, we want to be committed to that plan and to our goals and what we want to see. So the other thing that you need to do is set boundaries. So if you're at work, if you have, different roles, like I said before, a family or some other type of role that's going to kind of require a lot from you outside of your job, then that means you want to set boundaries on what you're doing in terms of your job when you go home. I know a lot of people, they're like, if I'm at work, I'm going to do my work at work, and when I get home, it's home life, right? But going back to what we just talked about, procrastination versus commitment, right? That means when you're at work, you have to plan your day and you have to be committed to the task that you said you were going to do so that you're able to have that home life or that time to just kind of, I say, play or do things that you like to do, right? And so it's important that even with different people at your job or even with your family, if you have something at work that's very important that you have to do, that you set those boundaries, that you make sure the people in your life kind of know what you're working on. And most of this stuff may be temporary, right? Like I can't do these particular tasks at this time because I have this big thing going on at work. Or at work, it's like, no, I have this family thing because that's important to me. Like I'm not missing it. And so it's creating this plan to get it done before you have to do it. And so those boundaries will also be important in terms of protecting your time, right? And protecting your emotional and mental health so that you're able to show up as your best. So set boundaries in terms of your work life integration. So this is something that I've been doing lately that I wanted to put out there, and I call it. This is what I instead of saying self care because we kind of overly use that word, but we kind of know what it means. I'm saying soul prospering activities, and I'm kind of utilizing that phrase in terms of self care. So different activities that you would do to take care of yourself or your soul. So if that's you going like me, I like sewing, I like being out in my garden, I like taking walks. You may go get massages, you may like doing different activities with your family, painting, going out to watch a movie, all of those different things. So anything that makes you feel good, makes your soul feel good, that is taking care of you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, exercising right, eating right. All of those activities we want to make sure that we're incorporating in our life. And again, it's still going back to that commitment level. How am I willing to commit to my health and making sure that my soul is well? And so those are some things that you want to kind of plan and prioritize and with respect to work as well, because we can't just work, 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 work. Like that's not going to help us to be at our best to do our work. We got to take some time away from it, give our minds a chance to kind of decompress, but even give our minds a chance to like process and mull over the things that we're trying to work on. Like it needs time to work, right? And so if we keep on cramming everything in, we're not able to do that. So do things that make your soul prosper. So this is a big one that we probably as academics and some other people too, like we're not super good at, and that's delegation and collaboration, right? So delegating things to people and collaborating with other people to help us get what we need to do done. So we kind of do a good job about it in terms of research, but we don't do a good job of it in terms of our family life. So is there something you can outsource to someone else with respect to maybe, you know, getting certain things done to get food delivered? So all you have to do is just kind of show up and eat, or getting somebody to clean, or doing different things like that. So, or maybe this week you have a big project, so maybe somebody out your family can kind of help you do some things around the house, or if you're a parent, right? One of the people from your family or your kids, if they're a little older, maybe they can help you around the house to do certain things. And so even at work, depending on what you have, right? Maybe there's someone else who can take on something that you're being asked to do. And so you want to make sure you kind of develop relationships with people and help them, and just be honest and open and let them know, like, okay, I have this going on, and it would be helpful if you were able to help me in this way. But then the thing about delegation, too, is that once you kind of hand it off to that person, like they're not going to be like you. They're not going to do it exactly the way you do it per se, but they have the ability and the capability to do it. And you can also give them some instructions if it's like their first time, or they may not know what they're doing. You can give them an SOP type thing so they have all the steps to do it. But it's something that's taken off of your plate that you don't have to kind of worry about anymore. And so the reason why it's difficult is because we're like, nobody can do it like me. But if we keep on doing that, we'll have so much on our plate. And so we have to learn how to kind of let it go, put it in the hands of someone else, and, trust that they'll be able to do it as well. So this is definitely a big one, which can be difficult for new faculty because you're just coming in, you don't want to rock the boat, and things of that nature. And so it's finding creative ways to say no, or learning to say no. And my thing is, everyone knows their capacity of what they can handle and what they can do. And even as a new faculty coming in, you're going to have a lot on your plate. So um, your chair knows that, everybody else in the department knows that, and so they should be trying to do lots of things to help make it easier for you to navigate, to provide mentorship, things of that nature, to kind of help you be able to do stuff a little faster because we've already been through it, right? So you shouldn't have to go through trying to figure it out. You should have someone that can help you navigate through it. But if you feel like, you're working on something, or you're doing something is not aligned with your values, or you don't really have the capacity with everything that you have going on, then that's the time where you'll have to say, no. Now, when you say no, you have to have a strategy in place, right? So, is there something else that you could take on later on? Is there something that you're getting done right now, or is there another committee that you could do versus the other one that you're trying to get off of, or things of that nature? So, always kind of have something map out to show like what you're able to do in the future to kind of like combat what you might be feeling, which might be kind of negative. But it's like, no, you can't do this right now, like these, and then just kind of stating like what is kind of in front of you in terms of what you can't do at the moment, which will be helpful and beneficial. So that's important. So the other thing you want to do is inside of academia, it's the same way, but also outside of academia, you want to nurture your personal relationships, because outside of work, you still have family, you should still have friends. And so you want to make sure that, work is not overtaking going out and doing things with your family, with your friends, with, other people. Because we also do have some friends at our job that we're trying to develop those personal relationships with as well. And so you should really take the time to do that no matter how much work that you have, because at the end of the day, some of those people are the ones that are motivating you. They're cheering you on. They're seeing you go through all of the emotions, all of the everything that you're experiencing, the highs, the lows, the ups and the downs. And so you want to make sure that, you're showing up for them, that they're showing up for you. Like if they have a big milestone that they met, that you're kind of reaching out, you're checking in at certain times, and you're really developing and cultivating that relationship, to know that you're for them, you're excited about what's going on, and that you feel the same way about them. So basically, just showing up. And then the last piece is to have some time, because as we grow and go through this process, or different things change in our lives, right? We have to regularly assess what's going on in our schedule, or what's going on, period, with us, to determine if this is the right plan to kind of be implementing in this particular semester. You may even have certain things coming up at work that's going to require a little bit more, right? And so the schedule that you created, maybe your first semester, is not going to work in your third year, right? It's going to be a little bit different. And as you go along, though, you should have stuff kind of being developed that is not as much work for you to put out in terms of maybe teaching. Maybe you got to put more into your research. And so as you kind of navigate and go through the space, you'll determine what that looks like. But please know that it is ever evolving. So you probably won't, unless your schedule is just kind of the same every semester, in terms of your teaching and everything. Your schedule is going to be dynamic. It's going to change depending on the semester that you're doing. And so you have to regularly assess, how does this look as you're connecting with people, as you're getting on more projects, as you're taking on more committees, right? Your time is definitely going to be getting less and less and less, because it's going to be filled up with all these different things. And so being able to integrate into what you have going on, and really saying, okay, let me look at this right now, because I feel like this is slightly overwhelming and I'm not getting anything done, then that means you need to set up a different system for yourself, which is okay. And it's perfect that you realized it. And so that's something that you want to take into consideration. And so, like I said, this is outside of getting your work done, figuring out how work and your life integrate together so that you can be the most productive that you can be, so that you can do things that make your soul prosper, but also kill it in terms of your research and your teaching, getting through all of the different tasks that you have to do to get to tenure. That's the whole point. So if you don't feel like, you know, you feel like work is kind of overtaking life, then that means that you need to reassess. And so I'm hoping that all of these tools help you to figure out what that looks like in terms of you starting off on this process. And I'm hoping that you see that it's possible to have great downtime, enjoy, do soul prospering activities, but also be killing it as a professor. Like, it can happen, and it's all in the type of systems and the support, right? So that support is crucial to what you're doing. And so, like I said, this is the last part to this particular series. You can definitely reach out to me on social media. You can see my platform. So reach out to me. You can also join my email list through my um, website, and I look forward to hearing your comments and to see how you're doing in terms of your work life integration as we move into a new school year. And I'm wishing you all the best. And as always, remember to do your work. You make a difference. I'll talk to you soon.